But I will get into my predictions in a segment called Crystal Ball Calls. Crystal Ball Calls. First game we're going to look at is Kent State at number 24, Texas Tech. The spread is Texas Tech minus 48.5, a ridiculously high spread. But I get it because the Golden Flashes have been on one of the worst stretches in college football history the past few years. They went 0-12 last year, not winning a single game. They did win last week. They are 1-0, but it was against Merrimack, a mediocre FCS team, who they only beat by 4 at home. Texas Tech looked good week 1, as I said, winning by 60, albeit against Arkansas Pine Bluff. 48.8-point high, like I said, absurdly high. But honestly, give me Texas Tech to cover. Kent State is that bad, and Texas Tech is just that talented. Would not surprise me if this game ends like 66-3 or something. Next, we have Kennesaw State at number 23, Indiana. Pretty high spread, but not nearly as high as the last one. 38.5 for Indiana. Another yawner of a game. Indiana, a playoff team last year, faces Kennesaw State, a team just entering their third year at the FBS level, who went 2-10 last season. However, the Owls did put up an impressive fight last week, only losing by 1 to Wake Forest on the road. And Indiana looked very underwhelming, only beating Old Dominion by 13. I still think this line is too low, though. I think Kirk Cignetti gets his guys motivated, and they cover. Next, we got Louisiana Monroe at number 21, Alabama. Oh, boy. Hard to predict this one. Will Alabama play with effort and pride, or will they not? That is the question. ULM is not a very good team, but hell, Alabama didn't look like a good team either versus Florida State. Look, I don't care if we cover or not. I just want to see us play with heart. I don't care if we win 35-0. The spread's 36.5. I don't care if we win 35-0 and don't cover. I don't care if we win damn 3-0. Okay, I do care a little bit. That's absurd. But the only thing I want to see, is I want to see Alabama play with effort, play with pride, play like they give a damn. That's what I want to see. Play with some heart. I'll pick Alabama to cover, though. These guys have had to hear all week how pathetic they played. I think Bama comes out and they win by 40 plus. I just hope it's not shades of 2007. Boy, if Alabama were to lose this game, knock on wood, DeBoer may get fired, To hell with that $70 million buyout. They'll fire him. Lose to damn ULM. But next, another SEC team. SEC opener, actually. Number 20 Ole Miss at Kentucky. The Rebels open up SEC play early in week 2. Sadly for audiences, I think Kentucky is the worst team in the SEC this year. They went 4-8 last season and lost some major talents like Dane Key and Marion Brown in the portal. And on the opposite hand, I'm very high on Ole Miss. They are loaded with a lot of talent through the portal as always, and I think Austin Simmons could be very, very special. It would not surprise me if he was in New York for the Heisman ceremony later this year. He can make all the throws. His arm talent is insane, and he's a very smart, very cerebral guy. Under that Lane Kiffin offense, I think ceiling is the moon. Give me Ole Miss to win and cover easily. I think the spread for this game is 10.5 Ole Miss. I think that is absurdly low. I'm not a betting man, never bet money on anything in my life, but if I were a betting man, and this is not gambling advice, disclaimer, but I would easily take Ole Miss to cover that 10.5. I think they could double it. I think Rebels win by 20 plus. Next, we have Utah State at number 19, Texas A&M. I won't waste your time here. The Aggies win, and they win big. And for clarification, when I say Aggies, I do mean the Aggies of A&M, not Utah State. Utah State went 4 of 8 last year, and they lost their star player, Rasul Faison, to the portal. A&M, however, is entering a promising second year under Mike Elko with one of their most talented rosters in college football and one of the toughest atmospheres to play. Give me Texas A&M to cover the 31.5 point spread. Next, we have Baylor at number 17, SMU. SMU favored by 3. One of the better games this weekend. We have a clash of Texas schools. Baylor lost in week 1, but it was a hard-fought game against Auburn. SMU is coming off one of their best years since the 80s, making the playoffs last season and winning the ACC. Clemson won the ACC. Sorry. I think it is very close, but give me the Mustangs at home. SMU covers, but not by much. 1 or 2 score game, in my opinion. Another good game, we have Iowa at number 16, Iowa State. Classic in-state rivalry. If you go back and look, a lot of these games between Iowa and Iowa State have been decided by only a score or 2. Iowa State is coming off a season where they finished top 15. They've already beat a ranked opponent as they beat Kansas State in week 0. And they won last week in South Dakota, where quarterback Rocco Brett looked flawless. But this week will be the real test for him. Iowa may be a perennial 8-4 team, but they always have an elite defense. I'm picking the Cyclones to win and cover, but it is close, low-scoring affair. Here we have the game of the week. Number 15, Michigan at number 18, Oklahoma. The spread is 4.5 points in favor of Oklahoma. The only ranked versus ranked matchup of this week, and it's 2 iconic brands. The Wolverines versus the Sooners. Both are coming off mediocre seasons, but with a lot of hype. And I'm going to take Oklahoma to win. I think Michigan is really good, but as good as Bryce Underwood might be, he is still a true freshman going out the road in what I think is one of the absolute hardest places to play in college football. A lot of people talk about the hardest place to play. I think Oklahoma has a real argument. People do not talk about Norman as one of the hardest places to play. I think Venerable's defense forces some mistakes, and John Mateer in that center offense does enough to win and cover. But in a defensive battle, give me 24-10, Oklahoma wins. Next, we have USF at 13, Florida. Florida favored by 17.5. Another in-state battle. Florida State had one of the most impressive Week 1 performances, beating Boise State by 27. I think Byron Brown is a baller. You go back and look at that game, and he was trucking dudes. Reminded me of a Jake Coker. He was not afraid of contact at all. And like I said, Alex Ghost is a damn fine head coach, but Florida just has too much talent, too much hype. DJ Lagway and the Gators win, and I think they cover, but South Florida will put up a fair fight. USF will keep it within 30, but I think Florida covers the 17.5 points. Next, we have number 12, Arizona State at Mississippi State. Arizona State favored by 6.5. Sun Devils travel to play the Bulldogs of Mississippi State in Starkville, and I'll get it out of the way. I'm picking this as my biggest upset of the week. Arizona State does return a lot of production this season, But one, I think return production is a overrated stat. And two, they don't return their star player Cam Scatterbo. Arizona played Mississippi State last season at home in Arizona at Arizona State, and they only won 30-23. With this being in Starkville, with all the cowbells ringing, and entering a second year under Jeff Lebby, I think Mississippi State upsets them. Another good game, number 11, Illinois at Duke. The spread is 3.5 in favor of Illinois, but ESPN has Duke with a better chance to win, 50.6% chance to win, basically a 50-50 toss-up. Two good coaches at some underrated programs. Casuals might not be watching this one because, not big football brands, but true ball knowers know that this could be one of the closest and best games of the weekend. Both have similar talent levels. Both have experienced head coaches, Brett Bielema for Illinois and Manny Diaz for Duke. Two solid quarterbacks, Luke Altmaier for the Illini and Darian Mensah for the Blue Devils. But I'm going to go against Vegas. I'm picking Duke to win. I think Manny Diaz can improve in his second season with Duke. He won 9 games, if I remember correctly, last season. And I think as good as Brett Bielema has been, he's very inconsistent. I mean, he went 10-3 last year, but 5-7 the year before. And you can go back. I mean, he had 8 years to win before that, but then 5-7 the year before that. Very inconsistent. And Duke signed, it's so weird to say signed when talking about college football, but reportedly signed a huge $8 million deal with Darian Mensah signed with Duke to play. So obviously they believe in the guy, and they have big expectations of him. But two very evenly matched teams, and when I can't find an edge, I'll always go with the home team. Give me Duke to upset. Then we have Troy at number 8, Clemson. Clemson favored by 33.5. Clemson is coming off that loss to LSU and will be looking to bounce back, and I think they will. I really like Troy. I've been to their campus, and it's beautiful. They have a great journalism department, but I'm sorry, I don't believe in the Trojans this much this year. I'm not sold on Gerard Parker as a coach yet, and Troy lost star Devontae Ross to Penn State in the offseason. I think Dabo will have Clemson playing intense. I think they cover 33.5. Next on the schedule, we have San Jose State at number 7, Texas. Spread is 36.5 in favor of Texas. This one is pretty simple. San Jose State, not a very good team. And after losing to Ohio State last week, I think Arch Manning and Texas blow off some steam and they win bigly. Honestly, give me the Longhorns to cover that 36.5. Next, we have Oklahoma State at number 6, Oregon. Spread is 28.5 in favor of Oregon. The Cowboys will travel to Eugene to play the Ducks. Oregon is obviously a great team, and playing at home, I think they win. But I think 28.5 is just a little high, a little much. Mike Gundy is one of the most experienced coaches in college football, and he has put his team in a lot of close games they have no business being in. And I say that in a good way. He's played close to some more superior teams. However, I will recognize that last year he had his worst year ever at Oklahoma State, going 3-9. I don't think this game is particularly close, but I think the Ducks just don't quite cover 28.5. But Ducks win. And then next, we have Louisiana Tech at number 3, LSU. An in-state matchup between the Bulldogs and the Tigers. LSU favored by 37.5. I have LSU winning and covering. Tech has not had a winning season since before COVID. And LSU looked impressive last week, and I think they keep it going. The talent gap is simply too much. LSU wins and covers. And then the last one I have to talk about is FIU at number 2, Penn State. The spread is 42.5 in favor of Penn State. Penn State has been super hyped up coming into the season. And, I'm high on Penn State too. I have them in my top 5, but I don't think they're nearly as good as people say they are. Because some people in the AP poll were ranking them number 1. They got a few first place votes, and I'm just like, come on. I don't know about that. I think Penn State wins, obviously, but honestly, I don't think they cover. Nothing against the Nittany Lions, but 42.5 is just a little high. I could see this being a 38-0 or a 42-7 type of game. But that's all I have to talk about today.